Hey guys, this is Pete on the Beat. In this video I will discuss with you the very important and extremely underrated in my personal opinion subject, that is how to channel or how to transmute your sexual energy into something else. But before I start, I want to point a few things out. The first one is that in this video I'll mostly read selected paragraphs or selected parts from an article I just wrote on PETEONTHEBEAT.com, that is my website. The next thing that I want to make clear is that I do not have any form of scientific evidences in order to prove if the things that I'm about to say are right or wrong. Those are just my thoughts on this specific subject. They are based on my personal experience, but they are also highly influenced by both books of Napoleon Hill. I'm talking about Think, Grow Rich and of course Outwitting the Devil. Everything I'm about to say in this video you can feel free to call total bro science, and as long as for both books that I'm talking about, I believe there are plenty of other great self-help books out there by various different authors, like all-time bestsellers and all of that. But for me, those two books are above everything else. I believe they should be in a completely different category. This is just how I see things. So with all of that being said, guys, let's start with the first thing that I really want to cover in this video, and that is the explication of the actual term transmutation. Or in other words, what does it mean to transmute something into something else? To transmute something means to change or transform something into something completely different, but most importantly better. You can see it as turning something into a new and totally better version of its own. For humans, the process of sexual transmutation begins when the person realizes and starts to understand the unlimited potential of that force. In that moment, he or she begins to make wiser decisions when it comes to having intimate contacts. Those decisions allow the individuals to not waste their sexual energy. The process of transmutation may include periods of celibacy and not ejaculating, especially for males. Here I would like to make clear that doesn't mean watching porn or masturbating. Okay, sexual transmutation is something that has nothing to do with any form of physical action. It is extremely potent and creative energy, and it goes far beyond the limits of any physical contact. Accordingly to Napoleon Hill, sex is the most powerful stimuli. Nothing can get even close to the strong want for sex, nothing besides few things. Those are the desire for success, prosperity, money, fame and power. So right now, guys, if you're new to this whole thing and you don't know how to do it, and you are also not familiar with Napoleon Hill's teachings, you're probably asking yourself questions such as how to exactly transform that energy into actual prosperity and success. Isn't the simple decision to substitute one thing for the other going to work, especially when your hormones do not agree? So all of those questions are the wrong questions, and I can highly assure you that asking yourself the right questions plays huge role in the whole thing. I think it's almost like self-hypnosis, and it is very delicate. In fact, to a very big extent, I believe this whole thing has a lot to do with mind game and tricking your mind in a specific manner. But in order to do so, you have to constantly ask yourself the right questions, okay? And here's the right question. How to actually replace the want for physical expression and intimate contacts with a burning desire of expressing yourself otherwise. The desire for sex is an essential part of human nature, and one should not make any attempts to suppress it. So here's what I would like to suggest you trying. Find an object of your attraction, or simply have a crush on someone. Or maybe even better, be amazed of that person's whole appearance. So imagine that the results of your work will not just impress but actually dazzle the object of your attraction. Also imagine that whatever you do, for example your business or work or your craft for example, if you are an artist or whatever, will highly attract that person, and especially the end result of your work. It really doesn't matter if that person is interested in those activities that you do. Just try to trick your mind that way. That is very important. Give it a try. If you manage to successfully trick your mind that way, you'll find you have access to almost unlimited amounts of inspiration. You'll feel like you mastered an incredible driving force most of the people sleep on. I believe for many that will give start to the whole reaction. The reaction that puts all of the other elements into order. The same one that creates the burning desire I'm talking about, and the same one that creates the sparkle in the person's eye. If you're familiar with both books, especially Outwitting the Devil, they talk about a specific sparkle when the person transmutes his or her sexual energy. That burning desire actually reflects as a specific sparkle in the person's eye. And what surely removes that sparkle from the people's eyes are two things: overindulgence in the habit of sex, and of course inefficient coupling. So right now, guys, I'll read another popular quote from Napoleon Hill's teachings, and then I'll continue reading parts from my article. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Keep this constantly in mind. Weak desire brings weak results. Just a small fire makes small amount of heat. Napoleon Hill. So the thing that you have to do is to not be a square and use that sparkle in order to achieve the things that you want. The more massive your crush is, the better. The less you know about them, also the better. The reason for that is because you want to keep that perfect idea you have in your head as long as possible. The longer you keep it, the longer you're gonna be able to take advantage of those powerful emotions and feelings. In other words, you strategically utilize them to put in work, so they will help you reach peak levels of performance at what you do. The most common mistake people do is trying to attract the objects of their attraction by using their game skills and etc. Leave that to the blind folks that will never realize the potential of the mighty force I'm talking about. For them, that will be one of the secrets that they will probably never figure out. Be wise and use your sexual energy for higher purposes, like getting on top of your game and building the life that you want. So it really doesn't matter if you want to start a business, master a skill, learn an instrument, or simply do an epic body transformation. This is how everything started for me. It started with an epic, like literally epic, because back in the day I used to have like male titties. If you really want to find out more, I highly encourage you to check the video when I was fat. Doesn't really matter if you want to start a business, master a skill, learn an instrument, or simply do an epic body transformation. Transmuting the sexual energy will give you the ability to not even think about the amounts of work and effort attaining a specific goal requires. Okay? Use it to create what you want in your life. The idea that the end result will drastically impress the object of your attraction will help you go through all of the required steps of the process with ease. And this is something that I say as an addition. Who knows, if you get really good at what you do, very soon they might come to you on their own. And that is exactly what happened to me. Do not look on them as a potential intimate partner. They are way more special. If they are not, then that is not the right person. So pick another one, or actually allow him or her to come. Be patient and do not force things up. And most importantly, do not downgrade those emotions to the borders of the physical expression. That will ruin everything. Instead, see them as a sweet memory of something you really enjoyed. Perhaps a lucid or vivid dream, or even something greater that happened to you. Something that is on the edge between the reality and, for example, virtual world, or like fairy tales, or I don't know, like use your imagination. That is the workshop of the mind. You probably already know that. So if you think that what I'm saying is nothing but a bunch of woo-woo stuff or whatever, I would suggest you to keep in mind that most of the greatest minds ever lived had extraordinary and unrealistic visions. In order to maintain those visions and eventually turn them into reality, they had to draw inspiration from unreal things and characters. They knew how to use their imaginations properly, and you have to do exactly the same. Couple that with some hard work and you will make progress like never before. So imagination, as Napoleon Hill describes it, that is the workshop of the mind, and he also calls the imagination the fifth step towards riches. So right now, guys, I will continue with another quote from the Napoleon Hill's teachings and few paragraphs that are mostly about how to use your imagination as a tool in order to make your desires stronger, okay? Sex is the most powerful of all human desires. When driven by this desire, men develop keenness of imagination, courage, willpower, persistence, and creative ability unknown to them at other times. Napoleon Hill. So here I would like to say that all of those things do not apply only for men. Like, there are plenty of women out there on the internet, and you probably know some that experience the same exact benefits when they transmute their sexual energy and when they do not overindulge in the habit of sex. So I do not believe that quote applies only for men. The idea of impressing that partly imaginary character will give you an extra push when going after your dreams or goals. Will make you figure out or reverse engineer that complicated, difficult thing you struggled with for weeks or even months. If your goal is building muscle or getting in shape, it will make you lift weights or go on a diet or whatever. It will make you pull up an all-nighter whenever your work demands it. But most importantly, it will make celibacy almost effortless if you struggle to maintain it. So another thing that I want to make clear, as long as for the imagination and how to use it as a tool in order to make your whole desire stronger, is that you should not use the imagination only as a tool to create that partly imaginary character that I talk about. In fact, that is not a necessity for all of you. I believe that is something that will work mostly for the people who have crazy imagination like me, or for the dreamers in general. If you feel like you're a dreamer, you can use it as a technique, or you can use it, like, you can give it a try. But for the most part, it is really important to also use your imagination for your goals, for your grind, hustle, work, like craft. Make your projects as epic as they can be. Do not shift your focus from the final goal. As we already covered, the final goal are those final results that you really want to achieve that thing. You really want to achieve those results, and as a side effect, you are going to dazzle the object of your attraction. In order to do so, simply do not forget to visualize how the results of your work will dazzle the object of your attraction. And don't get too caught up in your fantasies. That is also extremely important. Don't get too caught up in your fantasies, and certainly do not expect to take over the world by just having less sex or by just having no sex. Put in work. You see, if you simply have all of those fantasies, dreams, and you stop having sex, you'll probably feel a lot younger, you'll feel great and all of that stuff, but nothing really is going to happen. Like, I really don't want to lie to you, I really don't want to disappoint you, but you still have to put in work. And the whole point of transmuting the sexual energy is that it will give you the ability to go the extra mile. If you're familiar with Napoleon Hill's teachings, you probably already know the whole thing with the extra mile. So the sexual transmutation will help you go the extra mile, will help you do the hard work, but will not do the hard work for you. So you should not have any misconceptions on this one, okay? Right now I would like to start talking about the technical part. That I prefer to call this part the technical part, because that is the actual celibacy thing, or whatever, how you prefer to call it, not having sex. Celibacy is an atomic bomb when it comes to productivity, but should you celibate forever? Should you entirely give up the physical sex in order to make more and more progress? And here the whole problem once again boils down to having the right questions in your head. You should constantly be asking yourself the right questions, okay? That is vitally important. Never underestimate the importance of asking yourself the right questions. Because in our era, that is pretty cheesy thing that I'm about to say, it is pretty cheesy, but in our era we are like 24/7 bombarded because of the media with all kinds of like porn magazines, all kinds of like rap videos with a bunch of bad bitches, and everybody want to be the man with the bad bitches. You probably already know that. But if you constantly hypnotize yourself and you also have a specific goal that you want to attain, I believe that technique I'm explaining you in this video will make things a lot easier. So let's see what are the right questions in this situation. It really depends on how bad you want to succeed, how bad you want to turn your next dream into reality. That is the question that always worked for me. How bad I want to turn my next dream. And it's not always about money, it's about like all kinds of stuff. Like, it can be improving my deltoids, making the next beat, or putting a mixtape together, or whatever. It's about getting stuff done and feeling great while doing it. All about that sense of personal achievement that is described in Napoleon Hill's books. So that question played like huge role for me. How bad I want to turn the next dream of mine into reality. What is more important to you, accomplishing your goals and becoming the man or woman you want to be, or having temporary pleasure? What I'm trying to explain you is that you should use all of those questions in order to protect yourself from all of that media. You see, you should be constantly using that self-hypnosis thing I already told you about, and that way you're gonna be able to save yourself from that media, because I know that for plenty of people out there, me including, in my early 20s, during all of my teenage years, I had that massive addiction to sex and I was completely brainwashed by the same media. That is a huge pressure, okay, for plenty of people out there. It sounds pretty funny, I know, but truth to be told, it isn't that funny when you struggle to overcome that problem. And that whole thing with the self-hypnosis and etc. actually is pretty close to what Napoleon Hill describes as the habit of autosuggestion. In fact, because of that process of transmutation and all of those questions, they really helped me to develop that like scale mentality, what I want more. So for me personally, cutting out sex drastically increases my willpower, aggressiveness and ability to stay focused. So I can use those things to make progress in different areas of my life. I become more driven and more determined to go not one but actually a few extra miles in order to achieve my goal. So right now guys, for the people who are into the biohacking, people who are biohackers or whatever, I want to make this quick reference. Kind of what the people want to get from the usage of nootropics, but a lot stronger and way more effective, and it is a lot healthier. No side effects, there are no side effects, and you do not need any prescription for it. So I believe it's a lot better. It will also give you extra time to chase your dreams, but will actually also give you extra space, okay? It will give you more free space. I'm talking about free space in your mind, free space in your head. The space in your head I'm talking about is the same mental space the author of the best-selling book Getting Things Done, David Allen, talks about. Everything becomes so clear, like crystal clear. All of those things, they do not apply only for males. In fact, preoccupying their minds with too much sexual activity or thoughts for sex sucks the energy and ambition from females the same way it does from males. And now you're probably asking yourself the biggest question, that is, should you give up sex entirely? Most definitely not. So here are a few things that I would like to encourage you to do or to try. I believe you should experience life completely, so you should take very methodical approach in order to have the balance and harmony that will allow you to get the best of both worlds. The best of both worlds are enjoying yourself, having sex or whatever, and of course kicking ass. What I would like to recommend you is something I personally prefer to call controlled cyclical or seasonal celibacy. So, as you're probably already guessing, the cyclical or seasonal celibacy boils down to alternating between periods when you're going to have sex and enjoy yourself, or when you're going to have more sex or whatever, and periods that are dedicated strictly to your hustle, to your grind, periods when you're going to be workaholic, when you're going to grind your ass off or whatever, when you're going to be also more creative, 100 times more productive, and I'm pretty sure you get the idea. So cyclical or seasonal celibacy is not something new, and in fact it has been used in many ancient teachings for centuries. Perfect examples for that are the tantric and Taoist or Taoist practices, and also the Chinese medicine, especially the ancient Chinese medicine. So at this point of the video guys, I believe I already covered the most important parts of the article I told you about. There are a few more things left, but they are mostly about personal experience and more detailed explications about how exactly I started channeling my sexual energy back in the day. So right now guys, before I wrap up for the whole video, I want to read a few more paragraphs as a conclusion of everything I previously said. The first thing you should do after learning how to channel the desire of sexual expression is practicing it for a while. Start feeling comfortable and secure doing it. That usually happens after attaining one or few of your important goals by following or not following the principle I explained. At this point you'll be already aware of its its powerful force and your potential because you already saw or experienced the results of your work. So if you manage to successfully trick your mind and you start channeling your sexual energy, few things are going to happen. You become more driven and inspired, you start seeing the bigger picture, and you also start noticing hidden details and possibilities in everything you do. The more you do, the more you start valuing yourself. The more you do those things, the more you perform or whatever. Ultimately, that will make you more self-aware and help you develop a very strong relationship with yourself. You will most likely start to feel really good and optimistic about yourself and your life, so you make taking care of yourself priority. The levels of your satisfaction and happiness will skyrocket, and you will notice you've been capable to do a lot more. And yes, that includes those exact things that some people told you you're never gonna be able to do. You also begin to feel like you want to do more. You have that channeled burning desire, if I can put it like this. Oh, and just in case you wonder, that whole thing with the few extra miles or the 1 extra mile I told you about, you'll get that one as well. Deep inside you, you'll probably find that you had talents and abilities you weren't aware of. So you have a lot more to offer to the others and a lot more to offer to yourself. Sexual transmutation will keep you more interested in everything you do, but most importantly in yourself. It will make you start liking yourself a lot more and even jump out of the bed every morning simply because you feel good and you're excited about the life in general. Eventually, after a while, that will shift the focus or the point of your attention, and you'll find that it's no longer that much about dazzling that partly imaginary person or muse I told you about, but a lot more about impressing one person and one person only, and that would be you. When that happens, you'll begin to feel complete, like becoming a complete being or complete version of yourself. That is the best way I can describe it. No, most definitely, that will not diminish your desire to experience sex in its physical form, but it will make you feel a lot more self-sufficient. As a side effect, you might start to look younger, and you also drastically up the standards for your intimate partners. So making those wiser decisions I told you about in the beginning of the video will become an essential part of your life. So yeah guys, this is everything I wanted to say and read in this video. If you want to find out more, I'll put a link in the description box down below, so by clicking on this link you're gonna be able to read the full blog post with the article I told you about. If you like the content, please feel free to smash that thumbs up button down below. You can also feel free to subscribe to my blog and to my YouTube channel. Once again, I want to thank you for watching another one of my videos. Keep channeling your sexual energy and of course keep flexing. Peace and have a nice one.